Good night, everyone. Good night, everyone, and welcome to the Georgetown Tea House. We welcome you. We welcome you. Just get in here and join the conversation. All right? I'm giving you a few minutes to get yourself ready.
Examine any profound event in the Bible or in the history of Christianity, and one is sure to recognize the consistently pivotal role of conversational interactions. We see this at play in Genesis, the first book, where through a series of conversations we witness the fall of our species and the expulsion from the Garden of Eden. The conversation between God and man, the conversation between man and woman, the conversation between the woman and the devil, and so on. At the Georgetown Tea House, we know the great importance and pivotal role that conversations often play in our lives on this earth. And thus, we will seek to engage in the types of conversations that are insightful, stimulating, and thought-provoking. And yes, occasionally a trifle boring. Our hope is that with each visit to the tea house, we can become better aware of who we are, of our relationship with God, and where we stand with each other and the rest of humankind. And yes, through it all, there will be music. For music, it had been written, is the food of love, and God is love.
Welcome again to the Georgetown Tea House, and tonight I have my friends with me again. We have our dear brother Augie. Augie was missing, and we're happy that he's here. And I'm telling you, the music's sweeter. We have Pastor Nicole. Pastor Nicole, we're happy that you're here with us. First time for the new year, 2021, and we're happy that you're here. All right, so thank you always for agreeing to come and chat with us and giving of your wisdom to our friends and our families. Karen, it is so good to always have you here, lending your voice to the conversation. Tonight, I know a lot of people, there's a burning question on the minds, the mind of many of our viewers and our family and our friends, of the good Christian part of our question. But before we go there, I know you want to hear, but I encourage you right now, we'll get to that, I promise. I want to encourage you to go ahead, share this live, make sure you hit like on the broadcast, and don't forget to share. You have to share it with your friends. Go ahead, share it with your friends and family. Karen, you guys encourage them. Talk to them right now and encourage them to like, share, encourage a friend to join the broadcast so we can have a really, really good time tonight. I want to see. Go ahead, Karen. We missed you last week, so go right ahead.
Good night, everyone. Good night and welcome. And we want to encourage you to go ahead, press like, and share the link. We don't want you to enjoy alone. We want you to enjoy with your friends, with your sister, your family, brother, whoever that person is. And all of you can share, share, share. We want to see the link sharing. We want to hear from you. So go right ahead. Hi, Charles. How are you? Go right ahead, press like and share.
Okay, there you have it. Petal and Aduni and Lindsay Vaughn and Sandra. Sandra, thank you for always being there, supporting us. We're happy. My darling Charles, thank you. And guys, the first thing, Pastor, the first thing I want us to do while you think about it, because we're going to be talking to the chat a lot tonight. We want to hear from them. We really want to hear from them, all right? And the first thing, I want us to compile five of our favorite TV shows that we watch. I mean, you know that it's COVID. A lot of us still on lockdown. So we want to be able to, I mean, we have been, really binging on lots of some good TV shows. I mean, I consider some of the ones that I watch to be good, really good and juicy. So I want you go right ahead. I'm gonna check the chat while you think about your five. Let me go to the chat um, to see what they're saying. People, my friends and family in the chat, I'm looking to see what you're saying. Don't get shy. Go ahead and give me your five. I'm gonna be putting them up on the screen. Augie, while they think about it and type, while the panel think about it and the chat is typing, go ahead please and play us something.
Good evening, one and all. I'm telling you. It's another good time at the Georgetown Tea House. Ay, 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 ay. But in accordance, I hope everybody had a very good day as I did. Doesn't matter what is happening, I always gonna have a good day. So let me get this thing started right away. In accordance with the day. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Come on, sing with me. Deep in my I do believe we shall overcome someday. And you want to know Jesus has a good part to do with this? Check this out. Here's my prayer. Jesus, be a fence all around me every day. I want you to protect me as I travel away. Yes, Lord, that when I get steep, fence all around me every day. Oh, Jesus, be a fence all around me every day. I want you to protect me as I travel away. Yes, Lord, you fight my battles when I get still. Lord, be a fence all around me every day. That should be your prayer every day. Lord, be a fence all around me every day. Dear Lord, be a fence all around me every day. Bless us, yeah.
Oh yes, blessings Augie, blessings. Bless up Karen, I know you love that, you enjoyed that. We have a friend from, I think it's Nashville, I think he said. We have friends coming in from different places tonight. I'm so happy to have you. Oh, Trevor Benjamin, he says, from Huntsville, Alabama. Thank you so much for joining us. And we hope you have a wonderful night. So if you're just joining us, we are talking about the things a good Christian should watch or not watch, right, on the TV or on the web. But we're getting there, and right now we're asking people to come to give us a list of the things that they like to watch. Like I was saying earlier, we are in COVID lockdown, and we like to watch a good movie or TV show or something to keep us sane some days. All right. So I'm going to the chat again to see what they put in there. All right. So we got some. Kim is saying Big Bang Theory, The View, American Greed, Forensic Files. Pastor Nicole, you know any of those?
Forensic files, definitely.
Karen, what about you? Any of those you know?
I think
I
they
just
do.
heard about the Big Bang Theory, but I don't know all the other things. It's not like if I remove.
What about you, Augie?
She got two of my good ones right there. The Big Bang Theory. I don't know how I fell in love with that, but that's one of my good ones. And Forensic Files. I'm hooked. Channel 9 almost every night.
Oh la la. All right.
Right. Oh, somebody just took mine. I see somebody said they like Lifetime. Lifetime movie channel.
I'm not a big
That's me
TV.
right there too.
Oh, Disney. Okay. Let me see who else. Oh, Sharon is saying good night. Good night to you, Sharon. Thanks for joining us from Georgia. We're happy that you've joined us. Let me see. Come on, Marcel. You have to see it. I love Lifetime movies. Netflix and YouTube. But yes, Karen Wells, Netflix and YouTube. Which ones on Netflix and YouTube you like? You gotta give me
Right.
some. You gotta give me some names. You have to be specific. Pastor, let her know she has to be specific now.
Yeah, specific.
Specific.
They're so wide, you know.
Yeah, I love Game of Thrones. Fresh Prince, my cousin says. One and two, a good African mood. When last you guys watched an African mood? You guys still do?
I have to stop.
They have some new ones on Netflix.
Right. They don't have the obvious one. Yeah. Sometimes if I pull up one, I could probably watch an African movie. I think one of them was with the bridal party. Something like that. I like that one. But no. Now when they start to throw something and somebody starts to dance. Goodbye.
Once you start to dance, goodbye.
No, not necessarily when they start to dance, but when you know that there's evil involved and I know they invoke something with a dance and so on.
Right.
See you later.
Okay, so we have Tamika. Hi, Tamika. Good night and thanks for joining us. We have Greenleaf. Greenleaf, Pastor Nicole. Have you ever watched Greenleaf?
No.
Pastor Nicole, because we're actually going to be talking about Greenleaf. All right,
Okay.
guys. I just want you to grab your tea. Today I am drinking. Don't forget, you're all live in the Georgetown Tea House, and so I have with me tonight a cup of lemongrass tea. This is the good stuff, right? This is lemongrass. Lemongrass, also known as fever bush. Who knows that? Fever grass. There you go. Fever grass. So, I'm playing a video of the properties. Alright, so you're going to learn something tonight. So, keep those TV series coming and keep an eye on the properties of my my fever bush. Lemongrass. Okay, there you have it. Did you learn something from my zeb grass, my
Yes, I
fever
didn't know
bush?
it was good skin.
Yes,
Yeah.
I didn't know either until I did the research. So you want to get into right into what Christians look at, the kind of content that Christians look at, and we want to delve into this same TV series that Tamika talked about, Greenleaf. And Karen, I'm going to start with you. What you think of the Greenleaf series? 'Cause I've watched it. Greenleaf series is it is supposed to be a gospel, a series set in a church, and all things that goes on, in a church, and that kind of thing. Have you ever watched it, Augie? Have you ever watched Greenleaf?
I watched it a lot. And then
Watches a lot.
eventually I saw the storyline behind it and I had to come out of it.
So we want to talk a little bit about that series. Just a quick bit about that series. And guys in the chat, if you've watched Greenleaf as well, let us know what you think of Greenleaf. Karen, you want to start off by telling us a little bit about that. If you
Okay.
like the series.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, for me, I, just let me check my audio for a minute, Marcel. I don't. How is it now? Okay, great.
You're good now.
All right. Um, as everybody knows by now that I'm not a big television fan. However, when the COVID came and I needed something else to do, Greenleaf was one of the series. I was on Netflix and I was there and I was, looking at Greenleaf one after the other. And I was having a good time. But unlike Augie, he said, he had to stop. But when I thought that I wanted to stop, I still wanted to know what would happen. And so I continued to look at it until I think it's just probably what, 2 weeks or so, I think I took to look at the entire, all the seasons. One of the things I didn't like about the show is how the church was portrayed. That's one of the things I didn't like about it. Even though I know that there are some things in there, I just didn't like how the church was actually portrayed. That's me.
So you got it. That's the same reason for me. I like the storyline of it. That was beautiful. But then after a while, I kept seeing corruption after corruption, and it was really showing the things that we really didn't want to. I said, you know what? This is going to lead me down the wrong alley. So I decided, no, no, no.
Okay, for some reason I could hardly hear you. I'm not sure.
Yes, I think just need to raise the volume a little,
Can
a
you hear
little
me
bit.
now? Better? Better?
Yeah, I'm hearing it quite because my headphones are
Yes, Pastor Nicola was saying, I'm so sorry you didn't get a chance to look at the Greenleaf TV series. Like I said, based in a church, one of the mega churches and stuff. And but the thing is, what that I found fascinating about it, unlike what Karen said, because how she didn't like how it was portrayed. But the thing is, it is portrayed honestly,
Marcel,
right? I mean, we would not,
Marcel,
Pastor Nicole, how there is corruption everywhere. I mean, we don't like it because we're humans, and a lot of different things, our lives and our natural, all of our human behaviors come out, and it's portrayed in the series, right? So you would find somebody, lying and cheating and all these things that humans do on a given day. you know.
It is much I agree with that, Marcia. I agree with that. But, but, um, one of the things I have a problem with is that this one family would have been experiencing one thing after the next. I believe that it was too much for one family. That is what I believe. Mind you, I know that these are things that would happen. We all are human beings and we have our weaknesses, and some persons just hide behind the church. Well, I understand all of that.
Tamika said modern day corruption. Pastor, I want to come to you.
Mhm.
What is there in your mind? Are there TV shows that a Christian should not watch, in your opinion? What's your view on the whole thing of what a Christian should watch and not watch?
Well, one of the first things we must understand is that there are two competing kingdoms. There's the kingdom of light and there's the kingdom of darkness. There is no middle kingdom. Both kingdoms are set up to do one thing, which is to populate themselves. Now, the kingdom of darkness will do what the kingdom of darkness needs to do, and that is promote darkness. So we will have all different problems with the shows, with the different issues with the programs, and so on, because that is what the kingdom of darkness is doing. The kingdom of light does what the kingdom of light is supposed to do, which is to promote God, to promote Christ in whatever the case may be. As children of God, we're not talking because the question is about what should a good Christian watch or not watch. We're talking about a Christian. They're not supposed to be bad Christians. What a Christian should watch. We are here to populate the kingdom of light. And by populating the kingdom of light, we cannot partner with the kingdom of darkness. So when you ask me what are my views of what show and what show we should not watch, we should understand to which kingdom in whom we belong. And I can give you one of the examples. For example, as a child, we watch all sorts of movies. And as a child, I remember I probably watched Dirty Dancing more than 20 times. More than 20 times. Like, I'm talking a child, not even in my teens as yet. I've watched that show. Like, so the other day I said to myself, it was last year, I told my husband, they had this movie named Dirty Dancing. I have to find Dirty Dancing and watch it. You know, and I'm sitting and I could not get past the first 15 minutes of the show because as a child of the kingdom of light, I cannot be entertained by darkness. And so what to watch or not to watch for me is not necessarily the question, is to understand whose kingdom we belong to. And when we understand whose kingdom we belong to, then our appetite for the other kingdom changes. And that makes a difference. So that is where I want to start as the foundation for me is knowing that there are two kingdoms, there are two competing kingdoms, and they're both running a crusade every day.
Okay, so tell me, Pastor, what is like five shows? What's your top five shows if you're looking to unwind? Because a lot of like we know, we watch television or go online and browse for different reasons, relaxation, to learn about something, it could be education, or just to simply get away from a stressful day. You just want to just focus your mind on something else. What are five shows that you would watch if you just want to just relax? Just want to relax. So there's five shows that you would watch and that you would recommend?
All right. So for me personally, I can't give five because I don't. I honestly don't have five shows, and it's not because I'm not somebody who don't like watch TV or whatever. I don't have because, for example, I would have right off the bat say, the Steve Harvey show, Family Feud, and be like, yeah, you must watch Family Feud. But when I'm finished watching Family Feud, there is nothing I get. It's emptiness, it's jokes, and it is nothing. So whenever I want to de-stress, though, I can tell you, I would watch Smart Guy. I go back to the old days because I don't know anything new now. So I would sit down, I could watch a good Smart Guy or Sister or maybe Family Matters or so on. I go back to those because I find that they're cleaner, the script cleaner, there's something educational. And also because we have a rule in our house. We have one rule in our house. There's nothing you should be watching that the smallest person cannot watch. And it's not for understanding. They don't need to understand, but we must not have to switch the channel because somebody is in the room. Everybody must be comfortable. So that rule goes straight in our house. So she may not be able to understand, but it must be good enough for her to watch, or whatever she hears, it must be. So that is a basic. I'm sorry, I don't have five. Maybe if I throw in CNN Live and ABC News and TV6, I can. I would not say that I watch 3ABN, to be honest. I don't, unless there's a specific special program. I would watch that. So Hope TV, yes, I would. And ASI Media, I watch cooking shows on ASI Media. Yeah.
Okay, Karen, what about you? Give me, and don't be laughing. Give me your five. You have to have five. And guys in the chat, please, I'm depending on you to share the live, and you have to tell us what you're watching. We know that it's COVID and we know that you've been watching stuff. So don't be pretending as though you're not watching, you're a good Christian and you're not watching the TV. I know you're watching the TV and I know you've been binging. So tell us what you've been watching. All right? So I'm looking in the chat. Go ahead, Karen.
Marcel, I don't know why you're picking on me because you know that I don't have five. I was right there laughing along because Pastor was right there. And I mean, at least she's still throwing in a CNN and a Channel 6 and what's the other one? She's throwing in some stuff, but I don't have five. Oh, I have started to look at the Gilmore Girls. Yeah.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
Um the Gilmore Girls, I think I would look at the Fresh Prince. Yeah. Marcel, I'm sorry. I can't give you five.
Augie, please go ahead. At least you could do better than these lovely ladies that I got here tonight.
Oh, you know what? Home Alone. I could watch Home Alone all year. All year I can look at Home
Yes, Home Alone and Sound of Music, like I and Forrest Gump. So
I
yes,
have never
if
looked at that Sound of Music. I'm sorry.
oh wow, I'm sorry, condolences.
Condolences.
Yes.
The term is spot on because that's the other movie that I wanted us to talk about. All right, Augie, go ahead and tell me your five before we talk about Sound of Music.
Unmute Augie.
Augie, you're muted.
Oh, there we go. All right. So, Pastor, you hit on the one that I usually watch, Family Feud. The only one I don't watch is Monday, 7 o'clock. Then I miss it. But other than that, every single day, Family Feud is on my schedule. Judge Judy. I do a lot of Animal Planet. Whatever's coming on there. Lifetime. And then my all-time favorite was the Haves. Don't watch me funny. The Haves and the Have-Nots.
They have and they have not. There you go. That's my boy. Okay, I know y'all waiting to hear. You see, Tamika is saying the Cosby Show, Greenleaf, The Good Doctor, Arrow. Arrow is actually a really, really good show, right? It's one of these comics, one of these yes, I can't remember what it's called, but comics, really, really good. My, I got some here. Now, back in the day, I would go home. I mean, literally run home to watch Young and the Restless and Bold and the Beautiful. I had to watch those shows. I mean, I had to, right? And then later on, I stopped watching those two, and then I started watching as like sand through the hourglass. So are the days of our lives. I had to catch up with Days of Our Lives. So I know some of you, some of my friends and family in this chat, I know you have been watching Young and the Restless and Bold and Beautiful and them. So don't be fronting now.
Those
So
people
tell me.
still alive?
Of course. And then I watch. There's a show. I used to like watching Revenge. That was a show on TV. A very very good show. At my standard. And Nikita. And recently I watched something called the Queen Gambit on Netflix. If you've not watched, and that's a clean movie that a nice Christian young lady can watch. Queen's Gambit. That is a very good show. Anyway, we want to talk about the Sound of Music. That movie, that is a movie that was never touted as being a religious movie. But that movie has, in my mind, all the qualities, if I can say that, of a movie that everybody in the family, from the smallest to the oldest in the family, can sit down and really watch. And Karen, I'm so sorry that you never watched that movie. Pastor Nicole, I have watched that movie maybe 10 or more times.
Oh, I thought you would have said thousands of times close to that right now.
Oh my goodness, no. But
I
that
got
movie,
you.
Pastor Nicole, tell us a little about why you like that movie.
Okay, one of the main reason I like it is the dynamic of it. I love large family. So I came from a large family. So seven kids, perfect. Uh, I like the fact that the singing lifts your spirit. So Karen, it's a musical. It lifts your spirit, and I love how it ends. Not necessarily because of marriage or the fact that they went away, but it shows that at times you can change what is happening around you. So what you do is change the environment. So the family had to change the environment from the Germans who were, taking over. So they had to move to Switzerland. So sometimes there are things happening and you're not okay with it and they're doing all of these things. But guess what? You have to change the environment. So that has always been impacting, and also has impacted my life personally, where there are certain things I didn't like a particular area, and I'm like, but you don't have to remain there. Sometimes we're trying to convince people to be this way, but life will go on. People have their various principles. They may not change, but you can move or move on from them.
Augie, have you ever watched the Sound of Music?
I have it on VHS, DVD. I have it on Bluetooth. I mean, what's it? Blu-ray. And yes, it's one of my favorites. That's something we
Yes.
grew up on. Just about everything on there, I could repeat it word for word. Watch yourself. That's a must in this house. Even the kids.
I think for people who love music, Sound of Music is really a refreshing thing too. Yes, it just really gives you that really good, nice vibe. It just really sends you. Yes.
Even the discipline that was in there. I looked at that point. I mean, because I was the Pathfinder drill instructor, And trust and believe, the way he had them just so militant and well disciplined, I love it. It's just an all round loving family movie. Karen, you gotta watch it.
Karen, you got to watch it, he says. All right, I'm going to just
I
play a
want
little
to.
piece of music for you. And you would see my friend Nicole appearing in the video because this was a song that she wanted me to put a little my own spin on. So I hope you enjoy. And don't forget to keep sharing the live. And please don't forget to tell us what your favorite shows are and your whole view on what we should and should not watch.
Like a woman at the well, I was seeking for all the things I could not satisfy. But then I heard my Savior speaking. Draw from my well that will never, never run dry. Fill my cup, Lord. I lift it up, Lord. Come and quench this thirsting of my soul. Bread of heaven, feed me till I want no more. So fill my cup, fill it up, and make me whole, and make me whole, make me whole.
Right?
Yes, we're back. I trust that you enjoyed that. Fill my cup down a little bit, a little twist. Pastor, we want to, and the rest of my beautiful people on the panel, we want to talk a little bit about the whole, like we promised, the Christian, what we should watch at. I was looking at reading some notes earlier, and somebody said a good Christian is a person that believe and act on the words of Christ. A person that not only believes but acts. So his point was, if you believe only and not act, because then you're not a good Christian. What's your you guys take on that?
I believe Pastor said it very well earlier. A Christian is a Christian. And if we are going to abide by the principles of Christianity, then whatever we watch has got to be wholesome, not just to the eyes, but to the soul. So whatever we're going to watch, the bottom line of whatever we're watching, it has to be something that can edify us, allowing us to edify somebody else.
Karen, do you believe that there's a difference between just a person who believes and not follow? Do you think that there should be any distinction between the two?
Now, when I hear the word a good Christian, I was like somebody else in the chat. I think when you posted that, the person I think the person asked to define a good Christian. So I would love for somebody to define a good Christian for me, because I believe a Christian is a Christian. I don't think that we have a good Christian and a bad Christian. So maybe I'm not sure how to talk about this good Christian kind of thing. So, and then we have another thing that we always talk about in good and regular standing, and so I'm not sure what is a good Christian and stuff. So I might not be the person to speak on that.
Oh, you just raised something, Karen. I mean, growing up, I heard that term used a lot. Good and regular, in good and regular standing. Pastor Nicole, that's on you.
Yes. You need to be in good and regular standing. Um, now, first of all, we all know there's no good Christian, but we know that there are bad Christians. So you're a Christian and you're a bad Christian. Why? Because you name a name of Christ and you behave badly. So that is the truth, right? Being a Christian, you're just supposed to be good. Now, everybody have their levels of goodness, of which we're not going to get in today because we're the main focus is not the good Christian, so we could debate that. But we're saying as a Christian, you should be good. You should be good not for people, but you should be good with God because of God's goodness. Now, the church talks, as a church, we talk about being in good and regular standing. And that basically means to be a good Seventh day Adventist. Now, people have been very good Seventh day Adventists, but bad Christians. That's another topic, of course. On the other hand, but going back to where you're talking about, what should we be watching as children of God? As children of God, by beholding you become change. And we know that there's so many things that we used to frown at that now we indulge in. Not indulge in, but now we don't even bat our eyes at because we have accepted because we have watched it for so long. That is one of the struggles that is happening, and our principles have changed because we have sat in the seat of the scornful and we have somehow debated away our principles and say, but maybe this is the way I understand it, because now that our minds in some way we have been brainwashed. We've been brainwashed to accepting certain things. So I do not watch movies on fornication and adultery. That and it may not be promoting it. It may just be a little pass through, but this is the reality. This is where it is because let me give you an honest example. I want to be very honest here. I remember when the movie, I love Tyler Perry. So Tyler Perry came out and so on, doing different things. And Temptations came out. You know the movie Temptation? Everybody will watch it. They say, it's a good movie. But I'm telling you how that impacted my life. When the guy stood, and I'll never forget the scene, he stood in front by the elevator. He was with the girl, and they were now having a conversation. And he said, how do you know that paraphrasing here, how do you know you're having good sex if you have nothing to compare it with? And that disturbed my spirit all night. I mean, for days I thought about it and I said to myself, how do I know I'm having good sex? I have nothing to compare it with. You understand? And it made me start to think, am I having good enough sex? That's the truth. And it really twisted my mind. I had to pray about it. So so sometimes we're having good life, but we watch these movies that say perhaps even happily ever after, and even from Cinderella all the way up, and there's an expectation about life. Especially for us women, we expect that men should function a particular way based on the men in the movies. But if we stick around long enough, we will know that is not the reality because we expect people to change and function like characters who have been scripted, who had to rehearse, who even messed up their lines and that part, and they had to come over to do it. And we're saying, hey, I want you to be like this. So we get mad when we don't get the flowers and the roses and the chocolates, but then we're still upset when we get in fat because he would have brought the chocolates for us. I mean, that's a whole other story. But this is the reality. By beholding, we become changed. So we must be very conscious of what we watch. And by watching this, am I supporting the kingdom of God or am I supporting the kingdom of the devil?
Listen, man, Pastor Nico, you said a mouthful. I mean, a mouthful, because I tapping into the whole view of, you said you don't the whole thing about sex and watching it, and comparing the whole, I mean, a whole nother subject, a whole nother topic for another time. But it is true, what we watch influences how we think about people and how we think about what we want for ourselves, I mean, and you ask me the same question, good or bad, when we watch movies with crime. Okay, I like some crime shows, for example. I watch them because it gives me an insight into what is actually happening around me. I'm now aware of what's happening, all the different things that can happen. And some of these things are edifying if you look at them on one hand. I mean, on the other hand, it is sometimes very violent. Sometimes even me, I was telling somebody today that some of the shows that I watch for just the bare knowledge, not necessarily entertainment, but for my own knowledge, I have to honestly turn my head, right? I have to honestly turn my head, and I would not sit there necessarily bad movies. They're portraying the movie as is because we live in a world that is full of sin, and all these things are true things that we're seeing. And that's the other thing. We don't like what we see on television because it really makes us look at ourselves deeply and realize how far we've gone from when we first believed, or when God created us. Because the things we see, they're real things. There's when the drugs and how people smuggle stuff, and these things are real. Um, and should we as Christians not look at it to be edified as well? You know, because we don't we talk about what our eyes should in Matthew. I think it was 6:20 to 22, talking about what your eyes, in terms of what your eyes see, right? But would we want to be in a world where we're not sure what is happening around us, to not know? I mean, we can read it also on. You don't have to see it in a movie form. We can read it in a book. Or should we just not look at it at all, not even for education purposes? I'm just asking.
Let me jump in there, Marcel. We always have that question. Folks always say, I need to watch. What if I don't know, or what if I need to know, or what if we have enough evil in this world to suffice. Even on news, you have enough evil, and sometimes you have to bind yourself, because there's this thing now about binge watching. People binge watch it. I remember, for example, I used to watch Law and Order SUV, because I'm seeing all of these about these murder, these young ladies getting raped and so on. And that was also building up a hatred in me for men. Things impact us that we don't even know. So you're saying I can look at this to gain this, but how much are we gaining? How much is it building? Ask yourself what I'm involved in. Are it what I mean, what I'm watching, sorry, is it impacting me for the good? And I'm not saying you sitting down watching Smile of a Child all the time, Jesus loves me, this I know. I'm saying for this mortal frame, this body that is the temple of God, am I letting the light of God shine through this temple? Because we're talking Christians, we're not talking the world. We are in constant preparation to transition to glory. And as this body temple that represent, Matthew 5:14 talks about, ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. What I do in my public and private domain must represent the kingdom to which whom I belong. And there are things I'm telling you, Master, yes, you have to will yourself. You have to will yourself and say, guess what? I see somebody put up the Philippians 4:8. If there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. It is also looking at these things and say to ourselves, we are bigger than this. It is a big battle. and we must remain firm on the side we stand. A simple example: if you're at war with another country, you understand? Are you going to go and sit in that with a citizen of that country and sit down and you're watching and you're laughing and talking? No, you're in battle, and because we're in battle against the kingdom of darkness, I cannot support the agenda of the kingdom of darkness because I'm part of the kingdom of light. And in that king, just by you watching, just by you're giving them more promotion, more things to spread their gospel. You're sharing out their priorities instead of giving out priority magazines for those who are this side of the line. That is what we're doing. I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to preach here, but I don't know what this show Bridgerton is about. Whoever. All I know, there's a very cute guy in the show or whatever. Um, I don't know what it is about. But let me tell you, or I remember when they had How to Get Away with Murder and all those things, whoever. This is what annoys me as a believer. We could share things from the kingdom of darkness and cannot share things from the kingdom of light. We're going to talk about who, I don't know who the guy is. I think he's cute. He is very, very cute. Praise the Lord. Thank God for his creation. But we share and we talk so freely on social media about things of the kingdom of darkness, and we fail to share things about the kingdom of light. Some of us are going to watch this program and they're not going to even share it. You understand? Even though you're a Christian, because this is something from the kingdom of light. But we will willingly share a joke and a meme and something and the riot in states and all these things. We willingly share those stuff from the kingdom of darkness. All I'm saying is if you're a child of the king, we can represent him both publicly and privately. And yes, it does take a willing of self, but by beholding, we become changed.
Pastor Nicole, you just tapped into something, a real disturbing thing for me. And you're talking about sharing. And it's crazy, like you just said. And I like to use, and I use the word good Christian for a reason. But I'm going to drop it now and I'm going to say Christian. I'm sometimes shocked at the things Christians share and the good stuff that they should be sharing, they don't share. But again, it tells, I think it's very telling as to where our mind's at. Because, okay, for me, I'm thinking that we've all said that we listen to not only religious movies, but we also look at secular content, right? Because I believe that it's important for us to be rounded as people, as humans. We need to be rounded, you know. But it is always oftentimes so shocking to know that we share more secular things than the gospel or things that will truly uplift others. All right. I have another question for you guys, but before I put it up, Augie, I would love for you to play something that we can sing.
Something that you could sing. I know
Something that we can sing.
Pedal should be able to sing. Whose side are you leaning on? Whose side are you leaning on? I'm leaning on the Lord's side. Whose side are you leaning on? I'm leaning on the Lord's side. I lean, I lean, I lean, I lean. I'm leaning on the Lord's side. I lean, I lean, I lean, I lean. I'm leaning on the Lord's side. Whose side are you praying on? I'm praying on the Lord's side. Whose side are you praying on? I'm praying on the Lord's side. I pray, I pray, I pray, As Pastor said, there's one side. One side.
Okay. All right, guys. I have a question that I want to ask you. Should every decision we make be influenced by our belief system, or should our belief system be the guide in whatever we choose to do?
Your weekly behavior should be conducive to your beliefs.
Your week. Say again, Augie.
Your weekly behavior should be conducive to your beliefs.
Karen, what's your view?
I have no view on that.
Should every decision you make be influenced by, okay, for example, I, a police officer, a job of a police officer, we know that a police officer would have, or a soldier, or somebody, someone military person, their job, they have to use a firearm, they have to arrest people, all these different things that they would have to do, right? Should that influence, should they decide, as if they're Christian, to not take a job like that, or once they take that job, that they decided, okay, I'm going to be an exemplary police officer, so I'm not going to be, because they can shoot, but I'm not going to shoot to kill. I'm going to shoot, maybe, I'm just saying, I'm going to shoot the person in the leg. I'm not, in terms of police brutality, all these different things. All right. So should every decision you make influence, yes, in terms of, yeah, whether it be a job or anything like that?
Now, when you were giving the example about a police officer, I have been thinking that you need to be responsible, all right? Because as a police officer, um, I don't think that. Okay, let me back up a little bit. As a child growing up in the church, one of the things you always hear about, you should not become a lawyer because lawyers are liars. And I am saying if I have a passion for this particular field, right? Why can't I make it my career and be the, as you were talking about, be an example of who I should be? I can be a lawyer and I can be a very good example. I don't have to lie, but I must be able to represent whosoever I am, my client, to the best of my ability. um as and if we look at a police officer, I think what that was one of the things too they were talking about, that Christian. And when I talk Christians here, I am now referring to Seventh-day Adventist Christians, because I can't talk about any other Christians, because only Seventh-day Adventist Christians I know or I have been a part of all my life. So I can't talk anything. But they had a problem with persons being a police officer and being the in the defense force. But I'm saying I can be a Christian. I know what I believe. I can be in the defense force because I am protecting now. I'm being trained to protect my country. I can protect my country, but I know what I believe, and I can be right there and I can preach and teach and help others, because whatever we do, we want persons to come to know Christ. And so, based on what I do, based on what I believe, I should be able to teach others or to lead others to Christ.
Pastor Nicole, you want to jump in?
I think that's an excellent answer. One of the things we also must remember is that we are not of this world. We are children of God, preparing to transition to the here and after. Therefore, whatever I do must represent, first of all, my belief in God. And because of that belief in God, I will function this way. So therefore, if let's say, for example, in my belief system, I don't believe in abortion, okay? And as a Christian, I do not believe in abortion, but I am let's say that I am a doctor and somebody wants to abort a baby, not for the medical reasons, like if somebody, if you keep this child, you will die, and all these different things. They just want to have abortion because they feel they have too many children or so on. I can say, I will not be doing this. I will not participate in this. That is that is how I will be influenced because my highest allegiance is to God. It is not to my workplace, it's not to that environment, any other environment, but to God. And as they would say, as we would normally say, let your conscience be your guide. I am conscious that I need to be guided by the Holy Spirit. And whatever I do, I will function thereby. So yes, sometimes it's tough. It is very tough. I'll give you one example. Um, so for example, I was signing on a program and I realized that this card was not working well. But the thing, it still went through, and I know, and this card didn't really have no money, but it went through. And so I was telling somebody about it, and they were like, "Yeah, girl, you're real lucky you get through and think." I get through and think, no, 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 no. This card is not functioning. It's like, don't worry that them the thief money from people all the time. So it's a good thing you get through with that and so on. No, I cannot. As little as the money was, whatever the case may be, I could not have gone through and I had to go into the bank to report it and to account for it because even though nobody else knows about it, even though it's not going to pass through no other, but God knows. So my belief system is governed by God and I will act even when others are not watching.
Karen, Sandra was saying to the point of view with a lawyer, you being a lawyer, that you'd have to decide that you're not going to represent some people, right? And we know that some people that I know that she's probably talking referring to or talking about are the people who really could pay you really good, right? So you can become a lawyer, but not get involved in all the little, or selectively choose your clients who you represent, you know.
So let me throw something there. Coming up, you're told that we're not supposed to get into politics, and then many years later, we sit back and we complain about the laws that we have to abide by, such as the big case right now where they want you to take this vaccine, and you look at all the different things. They had a panel the other day where the guy had asked, and he said, "Did you know that you cannot sue the the pharmacies? You can't sue them if you come down with something from one of their vaccines. That's the law." Now, because we didn't become the politicians and the lawyers up on Capitol Hill, we can't change that. So they don't have an example. And you listen to the speech that Barry Black gave the other day as an Adventist. It was beautiful. But he can only do but so much in Capitol Hill by himself. So don't you believe that we should have more Christians in higher places that we can be able to change and make the proper laws that will enable a society to be better?
Yes, that's a good point, Augie. Years ago, and Pastor Nicole, I don't know if you might be aware of this too. Back in the day, you were actually told, that you should not get into politics at all. When I was growing up, it was something that was really, really frowned upon. You get into office and no, we were taught to be teachers and nurses. For those were the safe jobs. So, like Karen was saying earlier, we don't know a lot about the doctors, of course. We don't know a lot about the other denominations. And you guys in the chat could tell me what kinds of jobs you took on as a Christian. If you were encouraged to take a particular, if you were okay, let me rephrase that. If there was a particular job that you thought wasn't right for you as a Christian, right? For the circle that we were in and we are in, we were encouraged to be things like teachers and nurses and doctors and those that you can work. You don't have no restrictions in terms of when you can actually work, the kind of thing. Well, teachers is Monday to Friday generally, and then nurses you can work as long whenever because you were doing a good job in terms of caring for people, the kind of thing. So in terms of the whole political swing and why are we actually now deciding to do it, in terms of our decision, despite our beliefs.
Well, Marshall, I think that's a great topic to discuss another evening. Because it is loaded with so many things. And it goes back once again by some of the things in which we watch where you could have seen so many opportunities and you're like, I can be this. So one of the good things about watching various shows, you can say, hey, I can be this. Like I remember when I guess when we all read about Ben Carson, once we were in school, once we were in Pathfinder Club, sorry, then all of us believed we could be neurosurgeons. Like we totally believed that that could happen and that could be influenced. So about becoming lawyers or politicians, once again, everything it's a ministry. Sometimes we look that it's only pastors who are ministers or some singers who are ministers, but each of us are called to be co laborers with Christ. And whatever field you choose to work in is a ministry to impact others to get closer to God. But what has happened, and I think why the church shied away from allowing a lot of people to be or encouraging people to be part of certain areas, is because there are things that can distract you easily from the kingdom of light. It can just distract you and put your shift off your whole focus. So we chose the safer occupations. But as Augie was pointing out, yes, we need individuals just like Daniel to be in certain places. So going back to our topic on hand about what we watch and what we should not watch, one of our main viewing is that I think we are losing sight of reading, and so we focus so much on what we can view. But when we read, we create such a beautiful imagination. Watching is not only visual, so what we see across the screen, but watching could be the words in which we are reading that creates a whole new picture within our minds. I see a lot of folks, Christians, we read all sorts of materials that, once again, it does not help us to function the way God wants us to function. Our minds go in a whole different place away from where God wants, and we're trying to come back, and it becomes more difficult. Yes, it was great for the prodigal son to come home, and it's good. And Father will always accept us when we come home, but we must know after we would have walked out there in our minds, we come back with some scars. Whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are holy. That remains the bottom line. So, what are you watching? What are you looking at? That's one of the things we have to ask ourselves the question. That show you plan to watch tonight, my friend, what will it do for you? Will it draw you closer to God or away from God? Will it help in your eternal salvation when you finish watching that show tonight? And should you die in your sleep, will you be assured that should Christ come, that it will be well with my soul? These are the questions we must ask ourselves, and that is what will make a difference in our lives and how we choose to operate.
Thank you very much, Pastor Nicole. I don't even know what to add to that. Karen, you had something to add to that, or that was just well said?
No, I just wanted to say, like Pastor Nicole was saying, what is not only what we look at, but the kind of material we read. And I remember when I was much younger, I would read a whole lot of Black history kind of thing. And then when I am looking at when I'm reading about how Black people used to be treated and stuff, I realized that I was developing a hatred for the lighter skinned people. And so I had to decide, well, okay, as a Christian, this is not where you want to be. This is not what you should do. And so I had to stop reading them. And as she was talking, I was thinking about the little song that we would usually teach the children, be careful, little ears, what you hear, for the Father up above is looking down below. And so those little songs, even though we would sing them and not pay attention to them, they mean a whole lot. And we really need to understand where we are. We need to understand, as she was saying, we need to know that not only the pastors are in ministry, we are in ministry as well as co-laborers. We are there. So, and I think somebody was talking about, I saw a little message came up there. I'm not sure who it was, but they were talking about our lifestyle. So I'm saying what I believe, I should be able to act it out there, so persons wouldn't have any questions of who I am based on how I am acting. I should be able to, they should be able to look at me and want to emulate who I am. And so in doing so, we are now helping persons, or we are now leading persons to Christ. Because all of us, I guess all of us, we're tired of everything that is happening around. And if we're to go back to the whole Greenleaf situation and stuff, we don't need to, we have enough things going on around. We don't really need to be a part of that, or to look at the TV show Marcel to actually have the experience or have the knowledge, basically. The people that we interact with daily, we have enough experiences. We don't really need to look at those. Okay.
Karen was very
Yeah.
passionate there about at the end there. We don't need. We have enough people. We have enough green leaves in our lives, in our schools, in our jobs. So we don't need that kind of injection of knowledge. Okay, Karen, I got the message. Augie, you wanted to say something before we could be getting ready to close.
What happens when I watch a show and I know in the middle of this show, this is what happens? And then many months later, the pastor is preaching and he brings out a piece of that. I know he didn't turn on the TV and went straight to that point. That means he had to watch that show too. And anybody else who was inside of that congregation that laughed at that point in which he said that, you watched it too. So now, if you didn't get that laugh, you now have to go back and watch that show to see what everybody was laughing at. What do we get from that point where it's being brought from the pulpit down towards the congregation?
Maybe that point wasn't for you, Augie. Maybe it was for somebody else. Just saying.
Marshall, I saw somebody put a question in the chat.
Yes, Pastor. I'm gonna put it back up. So that you can take a look at it for us.
Yes, Trevor. Hi, good night, Trevor. Don't know who you are. God bless you. So it always sounds like that. That once we bring in, so what we supposed to do? All the fun gone. What are supposed to look at? And the Bible tells us in Matthew chapter 5 and verse 6, blessed are they who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. When we fill ourselves up with God, there is not room. There's no room for wanting anything else. And we conceive that God is boring, or godliness is boring, is boredom. You have to be there, holy, holy, and walk around and detach. No, we can have a fun time in God. So there are movies, I can't remember the name of the brothers, I forgot, like Courageous and Fireproof, we can watch. Now, for example, if you want to be a doctor, will you go to law school? No, you will go and study medicine. Similarly, my friend, if we want to be part of the kingdom of glory, then we have to study kingdom of glory things. We have to be part of the kingdom of light things. And it's a whole mindset and it's a whole changing. We can do so many things to have fun. And one of the ways in having fun is reaching out to people, calling people and talking to people and relating. As much as television and social media has given us a great platform to do so many things, we have missed the intimate side of relating to our family members, and we relate to them through a preconceived media, and we shun out the voice of God. I remember, as I said, I used to love Family Feud, but after when I finished my fourth episode of Family Feud, that's 2 hours, and then I literally spent 2 minutes in prayer. Am I feasting from God's table, or am I there at the banqueting table of the devil? We have to know. I have fun in my life. If you're around me, you'll know I'm a very fun person. I have fun in God. You know, the Bible says righteousness, peace, and what? Joy in the Holy Ghost. If you want to be part of that kingdom, that is what the kingdom offers: righteousness and peace. When I'm watching, if you were going ahead, you're watching movies about who steal who man and who sleep with who and who didn't sleep with who, it makes us want to act in these way. Why do you think there's so many crimes, especially here in the Caribbean now? Why? Because our minds have been infiltrated by these shows, and so we act on these things. That's why young men can take guns and just go shoot up in a place, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is happening? We have watched these things, so it's easy for us to transition into them. Now, if I am watching things that glorify God, then I act a different way. I put on a different persona. And the issue is not even the world. The world will produce what the world needs to produce. The issue comes again with us Christians. We are not standing on the side that we should be standing on. And so, yes, Augie, as much as I love the song, which side are you leaning on? I'm leaning on the Lord's side. I no longer want to lean on the Lord's side. I want to stand on the side of God. The line of demarcation must be clear. And I must say, this is who I am. The devil not afraid to say who he is. This is who I am. I'm a child of the king. And as a child of the king, I'm about kingdom duties, the kingdom of light and not the kingdom of darkness. Amen, Marcel. Amen.
Thank you so much, Pastor. Trust me, that was well said. My friend Renita is, agreeing with me when I said earlier about you know, understanding what is there, understanding what is out there. She's saying that people in the church might not necessarily tell us, the truth about some issues. But that's something that I think we have to work on as Christians, to be able to be transparent is the word, and to help each other to to be better. Because sometimes we can help somebody with our own stories if we tell them the truth about what we're really going through. That's another thing, of course, with trust and friendship and the kind of thing. But yes, thank you so much, Pastor. Thank you so much, Karen and Augie. Trevor is saying, well said, Pastor. Yes, thank you so much for lending your voices on the topic of what we should look at. Um, I like that we be wrong that we are rounded, um, but I believe that we should, based on our own belief system, what we know to be true, um, to train our eyes to watch those kinds of things. Know what we can tolerate, for the want of a better word, with regard to what we digest, what we digest from the television, from these different shows. So, Augie, be careful, little eyes, what you see. Um, just take us out there, please. Thank you.
Are you gonna sing it?
No, you go ahead and sing.
You can sing with me. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. Be careful, little eyes,
What you see. Looking down in love. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. Be careful, little lips, what you say. Be careful, little lips, what you say. For the Father up above is looking down in love. So be careful, little mouth. Be careful, little ears, what you hear. Be careful, little ears, what you hear. For the Father up above is looking down in love. So be careful, little ears, what you hear. So be careful, little eyes, what you see. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. For the Father up above is looking down in love. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I really had a good time talking about these things. I know that maybe I shall endeavor to filter some of the things that I watch. Um, I believe I'm a sound person. I would want to say that publicly, and that I know exactly what I watch and why I watch it. But all of us, I just want to admonish us that all of us, we must know what our limits are. We must know what we're doing. We must know our relationship and what we can, what we can delve into and not delve into. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but that's my take on it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you so much for coming on. And I promise next week we will be here again and we'll have another spirited discussion for you. Again, I'm happy that you took time out to share time with us at the Georgetown Tea House. And next week, I'm admonishing you to walk with your tea and tell us what you're drinking. Like I said today, I had lemongrass, and it's good for fever, and it's good for your skin, and it's good for all these different things. So I want to encourage you to buy some lemongrass. Or a lot of people in Guyana and the rest of the Caribbean, they got lemongrass growing in the backyard. So go take it out and go pick it and make yourself some tea. All right, it's a good tea. It smells good as well. All right. Thank you and do have a great night. Bye now.
Good night. Good night.
Examine any profound event in the Bible or in the history of Christianity, and one is sure to recognize the consistently pivotal role of conversational interactions. We see this at play in Genesis, the first book, where through a series of conversations we witness the fall of our species and the expulsion from the Garden of Eden. The conversation between God and man, the conversation between man and woman, the conversation between the woman and the devil, and so on. At the Georgetown Tea House, we know the great importance and pivotal role that conversations often play in our lives on this earth. And thus, we will seek to engage in the types of conversations that are insightful, stimulating, and thought-provoking. And yes, occasionally, a trifle boring. Our hope is that with each visit to the tea house, we can become better aware of who we are, of our relationship with God, and where we stand with each other and the rest of humankind. And yes, through it all, there will be music. For music, it had been written, is the food of love, and God is love.